January 29th, 1945, 2:47 in the afternoon. Holtzheim, Belgium. The war in Europe is entering its final winter, but nobody standing in this small Belgian village knows that yet. Snow has been falling since morning, thick wet flakes that cling to helmets and coat sleeves and turn the dirt roads into gray slush. The houses of Holtzheim are low and narrow, stone walls blackened by years of coal smoke, roofs sagging under the weight of ice. Somewhere in the distance, an artillery gun mutters like a storm that never quite arrives. The air smells of burned wood, damp wool, and gun oil. First Sergeant Leonard Funk steps around the corner of a farmhouse expecting nothing more than a routine check on a group of prisoners. Instead, he walks straight into a nightmare. 90 German soldiers are standing in front of him in the open yard, packed so tightly their shoulders nearly touched. Their faces are pale from cold, some wrapped in scarves, others streaked with dirt from the morning fight. About half already have weapons in their hands. Long Mauser rifles, dark MP, 4.0 submachine guns, a few battered pistols pulled from holsters. The rest are bending toward a heap of captured gear on the frozen ground, lifting rifles one after another, testing bolts, slapping magazines into place with quick professional movements. These men were defeated only minutes ago. Now they are becoming soldiers again. Right before his eyes, Funk can hear the metallic clicks of safeties being switched off, the scrape of boots on icy stone, the low, urgent voices of men organizing themselves for violence. For a single second, the world feels unreal, like a photograph that has suddenly begun to move. Only a few yards away, 4 American soldiers kneel in the snow, exactly where they were forced down. Their helmets lie beside them, knocked loose during the struggle. Steam drifts from their mouths as they breathe, thin white clouds that disappear into the winter air. Their hands are locked behind their heads in the universal posture of surrender, elbows trembling from cold and fear. One of them has a cut across his cheek where a rifle butt struck him. The blood has already turned dark and sticky. 20 minutes earlier, the scene had looked completely different. Those same German soldiers had been prisoners, exhausted men who had filed out of cellars and barns, with their hands raised while Funk's company cleared the village house by house. The assault on Holtzheim had been fast and brutal, grenades rolling across kitchen floors, bursts of gunfire echoing through narrow stairwells, shouts in 2 languages overlapping each other. When the last pockets of resistance collapsed, 80 Germans laid down their arms in a frozen courtyard and waited for transport to the rear. Funk had wanted a full platoon to guard them, but the company was stretched thin, chasing scattered defenders. All he could spare were 4 tired infantrymen, with orders to keep watch until trucks arrived. 4 men guarding 80 prisoners. Everyone knew it was dangerous, yet war rarely offers safe choices. Now that fragile arrangement has shattered. The Germans have overpowered the guards with sudden coordinated force, stripped them of weapons, and turned captivity into opportunity. Funk realizes with a sick clarity that the balance of power has flipped completely, and it has flipped in silence while he was busy elsewhere. The Free Germans move with terrifying speed, the kind of speed that comes from training and desperation. They spread out along the walls of the farmhouse, forming rough groups under the shouted directions of non-commissioned officers. Company C is scattered through the rest of the village, finishing the sweep, unaware that a small army is gathering behind its back. If these 90 men launch an attack now, they will hit the Americans from the rear like a hammer blow. Funk imagines his friends moving cautiously through doorways, only to be cut down by fire from their own captured prisoners. The thought lasts only an instant before a German officer pushes through the crowd. He is tall, clean-shaven, his uniform still neat despite the day's fighting. Confidence radiates from him. He knows exactly what he has achieved. He steps directly toward Funk, boots crunching in the snow, and without hesitation jams the muzzle of an MP00, 4-0 into the American stomach. The metal is shockingly cold even through layers of wool. The officer barks a command in German, sharp syllables that carry the weight of absolute authority. Funk hears the words, but they mean nothing to him, only sound and anger. The officer repeats the order louder, face reddening, jaw muscles tightening. Around them, the other Germans fall quiet, watching their leader handle the lone American who has walked into their trap. Funk feels the circle closing, feels the helplessness of his kneeling men behind him, and understands that he has stepped onto a narrow bridge with death waiting on both sides. Funk studies the scene with a strange calm that surprises even him. He counts the rifles almost without thinking, notes the positions of machine pistols, the distance to the nearest wall, the way the snow muffles every sound. The mathematics are brutal and simple. 90 armed enemies, 1 American sergeant, 4 captured guards. There is no tactic in any manual that solves this problem. The German officer shouts again, expecting obedience, expecting the familiar ritual of surrender he has seen 100 times. Instead, Funk feels something rise inside him that is neither courage nor fear, but a kind of disbelief at the absurdity of the moment. The gun in his stomach, the foreign language screaming in his face, the knowledge that he is supposed to die quietly, all of it seems ridiculous. Without planning to, he begins to laugh. At first it is only a small breath, a nervous sound that escapes his chest. The officer stops mid-sentence, thrown off balance by the reaction. Prisoners are meant to plead, to nod, to drop their weapons with shaking hands. They are not meant to laugh. Funk laughs again, louder now, and sees confusion ripple through the German ranks. Some of the younger soldiers exchange uncertain glances. The officer's face twists with fury, and he shouts once more, but the spell has been broken. For a few critical seconds, no one moves, as if the entire courtyard is holding its breath, waiting to see what this impossible American will do next. Later, Funk would admit he never fully understood why he laughed. Perhaps it was the raw edge of exhaustion after weeks of winter fighting. Perhaps a trick of nerves faced with certain death. He only knew that once it started, he could not stop. The sound echoed off the stone walls, mixing with the hiss of falling snow, and in that moment he felt oddly free. What happens next will unfold faster than thought. Within less than 60 seconds, 21 German soldiers will lie dead on the frozen ground. Another 24 will be wounded, and the rest will throw down their weapons and raise their hands once more. The man who had been marked for execution will become master of the field. Newspapers, months later, will call it one of the most astonishing acts of individual combat in the war. Historians will argue about the details, about how much was luck and how much was nerve. But everyone will agree on the result. Leonard Funk will receive the Medal of Honor for refusing to surrender when surrender seemed the only sane choice. The legend will grow that he defeated 90 enemies simply because he could not stop laughing. Yet the roots of that moment reach far back, to a steel town in Pennsylvania and a boy who learned early that life rarely offers mercy to the timid.